So, well, I think that, yeah. Well, you know, hey, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's entirely possible that, oh, don't listen, I'm just aboard on a, oh, Joe Rogan and your silly antics. So, what's going on here? I'm practicing with my new mic. You do know that you look ridiculous, right? Well, come on, man. Like, I spent all of my money on the mic, and I forgot to get a good stand for it because I ran out of money. Because I spent like $500 on this mic. Okay. Didn't you think that there might possibly be another option other than spending all of your money on a single microphone? I don't know, man. This is what Joe Rogan uses. This is what Michael Jackson... I just thought, like, if I got this, I could be as good as them. Like, right? Alright. Guess we're gonna have to find out now, aren't we? Let me see that thing. It's nice, but I think we can find something just as good. If you're anything like me, and let's hope you're not, let's kind of reduce the amount of me's in this universe. We don't need any more. But if you're anything like me, at some point you've probably wondered, what's the difference between a $400 microphone and a $20 microphone? Well, in this day and age, where everyone and their brother seems to have a podcast, this question might actually be worth answering now. So, what I did is I've gathered quite a few different microphones, one being around $20, one going up to about $4.99, and I'm just going to compare them back to back, and I'll let you decide which microphone you should get. So, let's find out. So anyways, I thought it would be a good idea to actually film this video on my new podcasting set because it's a video about podcasting microphones. And keep in mind, a lot of this information will transfer over to Zoom calls as well if podcasting is not your thing, but you do spend a lot of time behind a computer on a Zoom call. So I thought we would start off with actually my go-to mic. So this mic right here actually is a Shure SM57. It's a very old, it's a classic mic. A lot of people used to use them to mic guitar amps. Now you're thinking, oh, why would you use that mic? Well, it's actually almost a one-for-one clone of the Shure SM58, which is meant for vocalists. The only thing that's different is the windscreen. Basically, there is no windscreen because it's meant for instruments. You don't need one for instruments. But you can buy this really nifty little screw-on windscreen, as you can kind of see here, that kind of gives it a kind of a cool look. And then, you know, you get the people asking, oh, why don't you just use an SM58 if that's already meant for vocalists? Well, because I don't want to, and I think this looks cooler. So, anyways, I think this mic sounds great. It has served me well. I've never heard any complaints about my vocals or my voice in my podcasts except for the content of which I am speaking. Not the quality. But anyways, it's always worked out for me, so this is my go-to. But let's try the cheapest XLR podcasting mic I could possibly find on Amazon. So I'm going to switch it out. One thing to know about this video is I am using a Zoom F6 recorder for every single one of these mics, and the gain is set at the same spot for every single mic. So this is going to be the most level playing field that I could possibly provide to test these different mics. So Let's find out. I didn't really practice this part. Hold on. There we go. That worked. So this right here is the Shure NW800. This currently goes for $22 on Amazon. So, yeah, it sounds different, and to my ears, it actually sounds like it has far less quality than the SM57. But the SM57 costs $100, that windscreen costs $20, and then the shock mount costs another $20. So that is $140 on a microphone, and this one costs $22. So, this whole mic with the shock mount, and it does come with the windscreen, and it comes with the cord. All of that is about as expensive as just the windscreen for the mic. A couple things about this mic. It is way more sensitive than the SM57, far more sensitive. So it's actually, you can kind of hear everything. And that's because it kind of picks up a lot of sound around it as well. So I don't actually have to get as close to the mic. But another thing is, the mic sounds naturally compressed, which is weird. It sounds like there's a natural compression to it. So that's a little bit weird to me, but it's kind of cool because of when you're podcasting, when you start yelling, ah! You want a bit of compression on your mic. I have to say, for $22, this is a pretty solid mic. And keep in mind, I'm still plugged into the same recorder. The gang is at the same spot. And I'm not doing any post-production to these audio clips. So, all being said, this is not a bad mic. Well, anyways, let's move on to our next option here. So this right here is the Audio Technica ATR 1300. So this runs for about $25. This is actually meant for a vocalist in a band, for a starving musician or something like that. A starving musician is a term for a musician who doesn't have a lot of money. It's kind of offensive to musicians. Why do you assume they're starving? Anyway, this is actually not meant for podcasting, but I wanted to throw it in here because this is actually a pretty solid choice for $25. It could use a better pop filter. I don't know if you're probably hearing it because I'm talking with a lot of punctuation and punch to my voice here with the popcorn popping and pop. You get the picture. It could use a better pop filter, which could add a little bit more to your cost if that's something you have to buy. Because really with this, you don't get as much gain as you get with the newer mic, so you kind of got to get a little bit closer to it. When you get a little bit closer, you start to get to the pushing and the popping and the anyways, yeah. Overall, this is actually a pretty solid mic. I actually have quite a few of these because of when I was a musician, and I still am technically a musician, but when I was in a band and I was broke, I got a bunch of these to use on stage, and they served really well. And actually, now that I think about it, these mics are probably purchased 10 years ago, and they still work great. So if that's anything to go off of, their durability is on point. Well, I showed you kind of a mid-range option, which was the SM57. That's my go-to. I showed you a couple on the super, super inexpensive option. Now, I think it's time that we go to the granddaddy of the podcasting mics, the Joe Rogans of the podcasting mics, the Michael Jacksons of the pop, the avocado to my toast, the paintbrush to my paint. I don't know what that one. The spark plug to my engine, the peanut butter to my jelly, the pip in my step. See what happens when I record these videos alone? I go off the rails. Anyways, woo! So this right here is the Shure SM7B. This right here is the standard for podcasters. You probably even recognize the look if you've seen any video podcasts. This is the mic. So a few things I really like about this mic is actually its ergonomics are pretty great. So it's top fed with its wire here. So when you're attaching it to one of these arms, it actually is very convenient for that. You can point it up or down on these little hinges here. It just looks cool. So a little bit more about this mic is it actually has a very full EQ range, and it just makes voices sound really full. And especially a voice like mine that's a bit more top heavy on the EQ spectrum than most. Sadly, I don't have a very deep voice, and so I can sound really shrill on a lot of mics. So I actually sound, I mean, your opinion may vary, but I actually sound not too bad on this mic. When you have this mic, you kind of know you have like this standard. Like this is where it's at. Now, there are some downsides when it comes to this mic. The mic is $400, $399, $499. It's one of those. That's a lot of money for a mic. And if you're just starting a podcast, you're not going to go spend hundreds of dollars on a mic. It just doesn't make sense. Unless you're a rich boy, then go do it. No one cares. But anyways, another kind of issue with this mic is it's so gang hungry that you almost need to buy this thing called a cloud lifter, which is basically like a preamp that runs off phantom power. And you kind of have to use that with this mic if you want any good like signal out of it. Which is kind of annoying because you've just spent hundreds of dollars on a microphone, and then you almost immediately need to turn around and spend another $150 on this cloud lifter. Fun fact, I am not using that preamp, which is why I have to get a lot closer. The Zoom F6 recorder is just a very, very good recorder, and I don't really need it for this. If I did want a little bit more gang out of this, I could turn it up, but for the sake of the video, I'm keeping the gang set in the same spot for the entire video. As much as I do like this mic and its ergonomics, honestly, I don't hear a difference between this mic and my Shure SM57, and I would not be surprised if a lot of you really didn't hear a difference in the quality of the audio for any of these mics, really. That's really saying something. You don't need to buy into the hype and go spend hundreds of dollars on a podcasting mic, unless you just really, really want that look and you got the money to burn. If you don't have the money to burn, you don't need to go buy this mic. Now, there is a mic that recently did come out, and it actually probably takes the cake for podcasting, for convenience and quality. And that's a new Shure podcasting mic that came out. I'm thinking about getting it, and if I get it, I'm definitely going to review, but it's really cool, and it's actually a really good mid-range. It costs about $250. You don't need anything else to go with it, and it sounds actually pretty good from what I've seen so far, so I might be getting that mic to use for my podcast. It's a USB mic and an XLR mic. If you want me to do a video about that, just let me know. I'll do it. And if you want me to do a separate video that has to do with just USB mics, let me know. I'm actually interested to do some research on some USB mics and possibly do that. But anyways, in my opinion, you don't need to go spend hundreds of dollars on a mic. You can spend $22 and get a decent sound, or you can do what I did and go for that $100 mic and get just as good of a sound as I'm getting right now. One thing to note is your experience may vary with these mics, because if you're plugging it into a cheap audio interface, that may introduce noise. If you're plugging it directly into the computer with no audio interface, that may introduce noise. This is just a good reference for the difference in quality of the mics. I hope you enjoyed the little sneak peek of the podcasting set. If you haven't subscribed already, go subscribe to Pod Local too, along with this channel. Pod Local is my podcast where I interview people around the Bay Area who are really interesting and fascinating, people who I can have a long conversation with. I really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. This has actually been kind of fun to try out all these different mics, and I know more, and I hope you know more too. And now you know a little bit more when you go shop for a new podcasting mic, because I can't wait for your podcast to come out. Seems like everyone's coming out with them these days. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. What? Yeah, coming. Actually, everyday go-to. This is an SM57. It's a Shure SM. Gosh, man, can't talk. So this mic right here actually is a Shure SM57.